Hate to do this to you, Officer Tatum, but you just pulled a Liz Cheney on these people.
Bevelyn should have never been pardoned. They should have left her in jail. Many people ain't gonna like me saying that because you've been tricked into the hot sauce.
Bevelyn Williams is straight.
Because what you do is you look like a lunatic to people and they become afraid of you because you're radicalized. And let me tell you this.
I just want to know, everybody out there, we are invested in Bevelyn Williams here. I have done a lot of studying, all of my homework. We've been following her and helping her and supporting her for the longest time. Now Officer Tatum just dropped a bombshell on the pardon that Trump has given to Bevelyn Williams. We'll go over parts of what he said in this video. I mean, I had a lot of people saying, have you heard what Officer Tatum said? Have you heard what Officer Tatum said about Bevelyn Williams? And I was like, no, I haven't heard it. I watched it and I was like in shock. In shock. He was telling people not to fall for the Bevelyn Williams story. It's like telling a lot of people out there that you're reading a comic book about this story instead of reading the fine print, 98 files for defense and 140 files for the prosecution, and you haven't seen the footage or read the statement of particulars. What's up, Officer Tatum? I really hope that you take that video down, do your research, and come back on this, because it's one thing to say that you're right. It's another thing to admit that you missed the bullseye on that one, which doesn't happen often with Officer Tatum. He's pretty legit. You know, but we're all human, lots of love, still much peace and respect for him, but I have to call this out for what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please grab yourselves a drink. This is kind of a long one, but it's going to go over a lot of the details on the Bevelyn Beatty Williams case. And I think that you're going to find that she was not deserving of what she got. Here we go. So first, we're going to go over the video in question here. Okay, so first we're going to go over that. Let's just go over bits and pieces of what Officer Tatum had just said.
So Bevelyn Williams is an anti-abortion activist. That's her business. But according to federal prosecutors, she went way too far. According to them, she threatened and used force against patients and staff members at a reproductive health center located in Lower Manhattan. She purposely leaned against the door, crushing the victim's hand. And as the victim was yelling, "You're crushing my hand, you're crushing my hand,"
if anybody should have not been pardoned, it shouldn't have been her. Let me talk about Bevelyn.
Okay, so we'll start right there. He comes out, he listened to that lady's clip apparently, and comes out and says, if anybody should not have been pardoned, it should not have been her. We're going to go over the statements of the defense on what happened here before we go over the actual judge that sentenced her and what happened on theirs, how they feel about it. But hear him coming out over that clip, over that woman talking on a $5 camera to who knows where she got her information, just her opinion. But that is not fact. That is not the fact on what happened with this case. So with Officer Tatum coming here and saying, oh, well, she didn't deserve it because every crime needs to be punished. I did that because that's what he does. But it just he has no evidence with it. So hold on. We're going to go over the evidence, a lot of it, in just a second. And we're going to show you why Bevelyn Beatty Williams in this clip that I believe over 100,000 people have seen by now, or almost, I think it's 98,000 people have watched it already, needs to be taken down. Let's continue here with Officer Tatum.
Bevelyn Beatty real quick, and I'm going to move on. Some of y'all don't know who she is. She's being marketed as a person who was unjustly imprisoned while preaching the gospel at a healthcare facility. I'm telling you right now, it's not true. I have a clip that explains everything. We did a video about it. If anybody should have not been pardoned, it shouldn't have been her. So don't fall for it. That's all I'm saying. I think right now she probably got a GoFundMe out there that she did before that's got like $300,000 in it. Don't fall for it. This girl was hurting people at the facility. She almost broke some lady's hand. She's threatening people. She's on camera doing it. Do not fall for it. And we'll get the clip here in a minute.
Time out right there, Officer Tatum. Time out right there. Do you know what that GoFundMe was made for? That GoFundMe was made for her attorney. Her attorney was costing her $250,000. Did you know that? Or did you just think she just took it to the bank like that lady said in her video she could use it for her commissary so her husband could put it on the books for her? No. That was for her. $250,000 was for her attorney. And then the attorney ended up saying, well, we're going to need more money. And that's when they went over the $250,000 mark. You probably didn't know that. So she's not in it for the money. She's never been in this for the money. If you knew Bevelyn Williams, you would Bevelyn Beatty Williams, you would know that. But you don't know Bevelyn Beatty Williams, and you don't know the whole story, which I am going to show you, Officer Tatum, and to all my followers who have supported her. And I want to thank you for your support. And I would continue to say she deserved every bit of this support, and she still didn't get enough because she's she's in the gutter, man. She is working in the gutter against big demons. Okay. Now let me show you the clip that he's going off of here. For your information, he uses this as his spreadsheet for your information on what to say and what to believe about this godly woman. Let me show you. Here you go. This is what he says is the clip that proves that Bevelyn Beatty Williams is not deserving of this.
You should have sat your ass down and ate your food. That's what you should have done. Now you're going to be sitting in the clink eating food for 41 months. Thankfully, you got this money from the Give, Send, and the Go, so your husband can put some money on your books. I don't feel sorry for you, especially not getting on here trying to blame somebody else for your actions, especially actions that you didn't have to take. Shut up. This is Double D Mo for the Black Street News.
That's what he got. That's the word that we're supposed to stick to. That's the one we're supposed to believe, huh? That just doesn't cut it. It ain't going to work. We need more than that. We need investigative journalism here. We don't need just blah, 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 blah. I watched a TikTok video. Watch what I got. Not if you're going to crucify somebody. You need more than that. You need more than that. You need facts. You need what happened. What happened at the case and what happened there. You got video evidence of what you're talking about besides the hand? I'm going to show you that too. Let's continue on what Officer Tatum said.
That you didn't have to take. Shut up. This is Double D Mo for the Black Street News.
Donald Trump, many would argue, did an amazing thing today by pardoning 23 anti-abortion activists convicted under federal Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrance Act.
They should not have been prosecuted. This is a great honor to sign this. Ridiculous.
The first person that he commuted a pardon was Bevelyn Beatty, who I disagree with 100%. Bevelyn should have never been pardoned. They should have left her in jail. Many people ain't gonna like me saying that because you've been tricked into the hot sauce. Now, we'll go through other activists. Another one was Lauren Handy, sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison for leading.
This is why I can't let it go. Because you weren't tricked into the hot sauce. You were not tricked into the hot sauce. Now, I'm going to go over some things that went down for this to happen, okay? Let's go over what happened, okay? Let's go over the defense, first of all. Let's go over the defense statements. What happened in court. What Bevelyn Beatty Williams and them presented the evidence for. Let's start with the attorney, Myslewick, if that was his name. I can't pronounce it. It's Myslewiec was her attorney's name. The one who got all that money, okay? We're going to start with that. Myslewick, Bev's defense attorney, had said this. He said, the First Amendment speech doesn't require you to be meek and modest. You're allowed to be loud and proud in somebody's face and say things in a way that makes them uncomfortable. You're allowed to do that. But when a Planned Parenthood worker attempted to open the door of the abortion facility, a worker of Planned Parenthood opened the door of the abortion facility for a Planned Parenthood volunteer, the door hit Williams and she pushed back on it, like leaned back on it, like the door whacked Betty Williams in the back. And she leaned back and she's pushing back on it now because she just got whacked in the back without looking behind her. According to Myslewick, who spoke with Live Action News, the Planned Parenthood staffer did not ask Williams to move out the way of the door or ask the NYPD officers who were present outside the facility to ask her to move. Instead, the staffer initiated physical contact with Williams, pushing the door into the back of Williams' entire body. According to Myslewick, the staffer chose to start a physical altercation into Bev's back and an extra push on the back into the back of Bev's body. He then described the evidence. Bev is not looking at the door. She wasn't even looking. Her back was at the door like this, pushing back, okay? Bev is not looking at the door.
Listen.
Somebody wants to go in, they'll go in. But
Exactly.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit and you know it. There were people trying to come in here. People were trying to come in here.
I want to make sure this guy's covered just in case they're trying to.
People were trying to come in, they wouldn't let them.
Stop
That's
cursing
bullshit.
like
You
that.
know it. You're
Grandpa
lying.
gotta cut it out.
No. We saw it with our own
He's a
eyes.
liar. He's a liar. He's a liar.
You know it happened. You did it.
We don't block people from going in.
No, we literally saw it.
No.
All right, time out. They are here every week and they never block anybody from coming in. That's
Okay, time out. Thank you.
Drop bomb.
When the employee does that and reacts by the pushing to the door, you remember, like a door hits you in the back and you push it because you hear and you feel aggression coming at you. So she pushed back. The allegation is that the employee's hand was caught in the door and that Bev's pressure kept for longer than necessary. Bev didn't initiate the physical contact. Miselwick added that the employee did not have the right to physically move Williams and that this would be considered an assault. So she was assaulted first by the door whacking her. Miselwick noted that in reaction to the assault, Bev pushed back on the door. The intent there was not to violate the FACE Act or attempt to cause fear or injury, but to stop the person from slamming the door into her. And she had mentioned that a lot of times on her feeds. Look, I didn't mean to do that, and I hope she's okay. But I felt something hit me in the back, and I just started pushing back. And if you all have any brothers or sisters and you get slammed, you're fighting with the door, you know how these things go. You know how that goes down. The NYPD officers were on the scene throughout the protest, and neither determined that an assault had been carried out, nor did they arrest Williams or Chavanes, the lady who was at the protest with Williams. In addition, New York Attorney General Letitia James brought no criminal charges against either pro-lifer. Neither did the U.S. attorneys for the Southern District of New York, Manhattan, like Bragg's, yet. It wasn't until 2021 that Letitia James, Attorney General, brought a civil suit against Williams and Chavanez, which was settled on April of 2021. They settled it in a civil matter. The two were required to stay outside the abortion facility's buffer zone or face a $5,000 fine. However, no criminal charges were ever filed and nothing would have ever come from it. But then, more than 2 years after the protest, a major ruling we all remember was handed down by the Supreme Court, and it changed everything. Politically motivated charges filed 2 years later.
They say I'm an Uncle Tom. I'm an Uncle Tom. That's true. I am an Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a man of God. So let me tell you something. A black liberal ain't nothing but a house Negro. I said it. Drop the bomb. Boom. A black liberal ain't nothing but a house Negro. Y'all so pressed to keep that welfare. Y'all so pressed to stay in Master's house. Y'all so pressed for Master to swear up and down that Black Lives Matter and that y'all need Master and Master need y'all. Baby, I'm not on the field grinding for mine. I don't need nothing from nobody. I got Jesus. I'm an Uncle Tom because I'm a woman of God. I'm an auntie Tamisha because I'm definitely serving the Lord. I don't got nothing to do with none of that. I don't need to be voting in this and voting in that and putting in a president who's telling me if I don't vote for him, I ain't black.
After that June of 2020 protest took place, it was politically motivated, and more than a year after the civil case was settled, the Biden and Harris Department of Justice decided to open an investigation into the June 2020 protest. All of a sudden, after this thing was handed down by the courts, the Supreme Court had overturned the Roe v. Wade in its June 2022 ruling in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, and there is speculation that this had everything to do with the sudden charges that were brought against Williams and Chavanez and other pro-life activists. What's interesting here, ladies and gentlemen, about Bev's case, said Miselwick, the attorney, is the incident occurred in June of 2020, and the government did not prosecute that until after Dobbs in 2022. And based on the trial evidence, 2 years went by and nobody from the Southern District, New York's prosecution team, including the FBI agents, nobody even talked to the Planned Parenthood in Manhattan during those 2 years. Okay? It was not until a few weeks later, after the Dobbs decision, that they began investigating. You think this isn't a setup? The NYPD was on the scene in June 2020. Planned Parenthood had lawyers in June of 2020. And before Dobbs, nobody from the U.S. Attorney's Office does anything. Nobody thinks it's worth their time. Then after Dobbs, one could argue that the district wanted a case to prosecute under the FACE Act and went 2 years into the past. And it begs the question, if this was such a serious incident, why didn't they investigate in the weeks after it happened? There's only one reason, Maselwick said. He said it's because Dobbs hadn't happened. He said the key fact that changes their determination is what the Supreme Court justices did, which should not be the reason to go and prosecute Bev Williams. Ultimately, it wasn't until December of 2022, 2.5 years after the fact, that the Biden-Harris Department of Justice charged Williams and Chavez with conspiracy to violate the FACE Act. In addition, Williams was charged with violating the FACE Act through force, threats of force, and physical obstruction resulting in bodily harm. And Chavez was also charged with violating the FACE Act through threats of force and physical obstruction. Also, in 2022, the Biden-Harris Department of Justice began filing similar charges under the FACE Act against other pro-lifers. You see those other guys down there? Tatum? Those other 22? Here they are. They're right there with her. Same timing, everything. Okay? Let's get this straight. Including in Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and Eastern District of New York and Tennessee. She was sentenced to 41 months, more than 3 years in federal prison. You see that hand? You see the hand that she injured? She got 3 years, 3.5 years for that, or 41 months. Come on. Really? She did 6 months and you don't think she deserves a pardon for that hand? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Before I... Sorry, Tatum. I really do love your channel. In federal prison, hers is the second longest conviction of any pro-lifer recently charged with violating the FACE Act. The attorney goes on to say that the contrast is that with Bev's case, where even assuming that the government's version of the facts is correct, there was no bruising of the wrist. The employees didn't seek medical attention that day. A few days lapsed before they even went to the doctor. Not a serious physical injury in terms of the way of New York law defines it. This is the kind of injury that in New York would be misdemeanor assault. I've handled 200 plus assault cases. The normal thing that happens with cases of that nature is that they're reduced to non-criminal offenses and no one gets jail sentence. 99.9% of the time, the sentence would be no jail. Given with what Williams is charged with, it's striking to see that much lighter sentences have been handed down for far worse charges. For example, in the same state, New York, Mohammed Shee was sentenced to just 180 days in jail for raping 2 young girls who were ages 4 and 9 at the time. For 180 days in jail. Let's get the sentencing right, Officer Tatum. Pardons, please. Sean Jordan, a former Rochester police officer who pleaded guilty to raping a child, was sentenced to 10 years of probation and 10 jail weekends in August. Just this month, a few months ago, Michael Ruiz of Brooklyn was sentenced to 3.5 years for second-degree assault and third-degree attempted assault for attacking a stranger in the street and a bystander who attempted to intervene. He attacked 2 people. Two Niagara Falls women were sentenced to 2 years in prison for assault at a restaurant. And in August, a Binghamton woman was sentenced to 4.5 years in jail for beating another woman and pushing her down the stairs before beating her again in an incident the judge called the most violent attack she'd ever seen. She got 4.5 years. A year more than Bevelyn. No pardon, right? Don't pardon Bevelyn after doing 6 months for leaning back up against the door. This case should be important to any person in the U.S. who cares about the government engaging in prosecutions based on viewpoints, said Maselwick. Regardless of whether you're a Democrat or Republican, a centrist, or somebody who is left-wing, right-wing, in this case should matter because the delay in prosecution and decision to begin investigations suggests strongly that in some way this case is retaliation by the executive branch, DOJ, for a Supreme Court decision that they didn't like. And that should worry everyone in the U.S. because there will be a time where a party controls the executive branch that's not your party. And a person is president or runs DOJ who does not hold your same beliefs, and you need to decide if it's acceptable for them to prosecute you because you have a different views than they do, or they have different views than you do. He said it's important for the people who have a pro-life viewpoint to realize that the delayed investigation into Williams and her conviction and sentencing is another chapter in the battle that's playing out on abortion issue with states and courtrooms around the country. Now, let me tell you about that judge that sentenced her, okay? She got into office on a Senate vote. 51 yays, 47 nays, meaning 3 Republicans in that time because 2 of the Democrats didn't show. But 3 Republicans, they voted for her, or else she wouldn't have even been voted for. But 3 Republicans voted for her. Guess who they were? I'm going to let you guess. One of them was Murkowski, right, of Maine. The other was Collins. What did they have in common? Yeah. They both voted against Hegsmith, okay? The Biden Democrat, these are Biden Democrat moles that put this lady in office, in the sitting room. They had direct access to her saying, go get her. Go get her. And she even told Bevelyn, I'm going to make an example out of you. Okay, wait. Let's go on to the third one that voted her in. Take a wild guess. No. I know a lot of people out there said Mitch McConnell. Close. Lindsey Graham was the third yay to get this lady in office. Yep. Lindsey Graham. Now, Officer Tatum, or anyone who thinks that not only was Bevelyn set up by these cats, but so were the others that Trump pardoned. They're all set up by these cats. Most of them, at least. And you got to clean the slate. You can take that video down now, Officer Tatum. And Mr. and Mrs. Williams are God-loving Christians with a lot of mercy and forgiveness, and I'm sure they will extend it to you, sir. Can't be, I just watched one of these ladies' videos, and I saw this lady, I'm going to share this lady's video. It wasn't even a good video. Now, let's just dig a little bit more into Officer Tatum's video here, because I'm not letting you off easy. You really jammed Bevelyn here. Let's check it out.
Many people ain't gonna like me saying that because you've been tricked into the hot sauce. But I do know that nobody has the right to block a healthcare facility. I don't care what you feel about what's going on in there. Only way you have a way to block it is if your kid is involved and you're standing in the way and blocking your own child for going into a facility to do something that you think they ought not be doing. And let me tell you this, because I get passionate about this.
Okay, so you're saying you can't block it, right? Don't block it unless you're committing a crime. But if it's your kid, you can commit a crime against them. It's still a FACE Act, dude. You can't block it no matter what. You can't. Now, with Bevelyn Beatty, with all everybody saying, she's blocking the door, she's blocking the door. Watch this.
You know it happened. You did it.
We don't block people from going in.
No, we literally saw it.
No.
All right, time out. They are here every week and they never block anybody from coming in. That's
Okay, time out. Thank you.
Drop bomb!
So say you're passionate about it. Do some investigation before you do what you're saying against Bevelyn Williams. Really. I'll let you keep going so you can rehear yourself.
And let me tell you this, because I get passionate about this. Don't you take your behind to a Planned Parenthood if you don't plan to support the woman that you're trying to talk to. Now,
who would do that? The only person that would do that, if you're going to plan to support the woman you're talking to, is somebody that's going to take her to go get the abortion. It defeats the purpose. The only way you should go to a Planned Parenthood is if you're going to take somebody there to get an abortion. Even if you don't believe in it, like you're going to do that. I don't like you doing drugs, son, but let's go grab you some heroin as I talk to you about it. Come on, man. No, really, come on.
Easy for you to sit there and say, you shouldn't do that. Well, then who gonna raise that baby? She in a domestic violence situation with a baby daddy, or a baby daddy don't want her. Her mom and them are shaming her. She can't go to church no more because they gonna shun her.
You're making excuses for an abortion. That's what you're doing. And tell me, who goes to church and gets shunned for having a baby or for being pregnant? You don't. You go get help. People in church, I've never been to a church that shun people who, oh, she's pregnant, she's evil. Come on, man. Come on. Where are you coming up with this stuff, Tatum? This was the worst.
Come on, man. I'm okay with Donald Trump pardoning people that have been overly charged when they're just exercising their right to have a voice and an opinion. I am not okay with somebody who are committing crimes against another person and saying because it's a cause that I believe in, I get to break the law.
I love you, dog. Everybody, don't get me wrong. I love Officer Tatum and I respect him and I still do. This one, I don't know, man. I just have to say, I love you and God bless you, Officer Tatum, but please take that video down. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. God bless you. One love.